Ladies, I think we just as well to get started. What do you think, Renee?
Sure, that's fine.
Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Kate Meyer. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Women's Resource Center in Alamance County. We are dedicated to empowering women to improve and enrich their lives, and we strive to provide programming and services to meet many of the diverse needs of women. Please visit our website at www.wrcac.org to learn more about who we are, our programs and services, as well as our upcoming events. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome each of you, as well as Renee Rhorer, to our workshop. Renee is the Community Engagement Manager for Truliant Federal Credit Union. In this role, she manages philanthropic giving, volunteerism, and financial education for the 3.3 billion credit union serving the Carolinas and Virginia. Prior to joining Truliant in 2014, Renee worked for 15 years in nonprofit marketing, fundraising, and volunteer management. And she has degrees from UNCG, Appalachian State, and is a graduate of both Leadership Winston-Salem and Leadership Davidson County. She earned her Credit Union Development Educator certification in 2017 from the National Credit Union Foundation and serves on several boards, including Hands-On in WNC and the Volunteer Center of the Triad. So Renee, I'm happy to turn this over to you, and I look forward to hearing all about holiday budgeting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, Kate. And for everyone who joined, thank you so much for participating in today's program. Happy to see you. So we are going to be talking about budgeting for the holidays. There are a couple of things in this presentation that regarding all holidays, and we'll get to those. And then the bulk of the conversation we'll have today is about the holiday season that's coming up. All right. Let me go to the next slide. Is it going? Yes, it is. Okay. To get started today, just, we're going to talk and have the workshop for somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes. I would ask that you mute your audio until the end, just to reduce background noise. My headset was not able to function right now, so it will reduce the noise for me as well. And please remember to use the chat function for any questions or input that you may have. I do want you to know that the way my screens are set up, I can't necessarily see the chat in real time, but I know that Kate will help me call out some of the comments that you guys are able to make. So with that, if we want to get started, I want to ask a question just right off the bat. How many of you have a holiday budget?
I do.
Yes, you do, Precious? Okay,
yes.
Good. Nice.
It's not much.
That's okay. That's okay. It's a great start. Well, you probably could teach the class then, but that's a great point. And that's something we're going to talk about today. So I want to get started now. All right. So did you know that, the average salary in North Carolina, now granted this information is from 2018 census, the average salary is about $29,000 per person in our state. And that's based on the US Census data for North Carolina. Again, it's probably gone up slightly since the new data was released earlier this year. But in 2019, the National Retail Federation said, average planned spending for the top 10 events. And it's important that we recognize, again, what I was saying at the beginning is the top 10 events means holidays within the year. And we will call those out in just a moment. But spending for an average family or for a family in North Carolina was about $3,600 across all the holidays. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you think that that's a lot or maybe it's too little. But the average spending, the data from that same year from 2019 regarding holiday spending, which includes Thanksgiving and Christmas, was about $1,000 annually. So when you look at your income for those 2 months, we're talking about November and December, and you start to think about maybe how much you spent last year on the holidays, does $1,000 seem like a lot or too little for you? We're not talking about your mortgage or your car payment or anything else. We're just talking about what you spend for the holidays. And actually the winter season takes about 24% of your income, which is interesting. When you see the numbers like that, it makes me, I did sit back and think, is that true? And then I started thinking about all the extra things that come with this time of year. And it's easy to see how the expenses can add up. All right, so let's take a look at what those holidays are. So right off the bat, you're gonna say, Renee, Super Bowl is not a holiday. I get it, it's not, but a lot of people spend money during the Super Bowl and to host a Super Bowl party or a get together. So that's why it's factored in here. So they're not true holidays as much as they are spending events that we sort of correlate with holidays. So you'll see graduation, which again is not a specific date. It could happen, sort of throughout the year, but you have Mother's Day, Father's Day, Halloween, which has been increasing every year. And then you see Christmas just shoots right up, right? So this is sort of how the breakdown of spending in that $3,600 that we were talking about. This is sort of how that's broken up. And remember, these are averages per consumer. So, one thing for you to think about today as we work through the presentation is, do you celebrate these holidays? Do you spend money during these times of year, Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Independence Day? Or, are you spending less or more in some of these different events than what's listed here? There are other dates throughout the year where people are spending money. One that is not included here is New Year's Eve. And so if you are a host of a party or you spend extra money to buy some outfit to go out or something like that, then you'd want to think about that as well. All right, so today we are going to talk about budgeting for the holidays. And as I mentioned earlier, some of what we'll talk about will be applicable to the entire year, and some will be applicable to the season that we are approaching right now. So we're going to talk about it in three separate points. Number one, about budgeting and planning. Number two, about identifying holiday savings opportunities. And number three, applying tips to shopping. All right, so let's talk a little bit about budgeting and planning. So think for a moment about your past shopping habits. Understand, as you're thinking about that, what did you spend money on last year? What has changed between last year and this year? And the other thing we're really going to talk a lot today is about all expenses. So this is not just gifts, which gifts, are the bulk of what we do at the holiday season, but this is food, decorations, ornaments for your Christmas tree, wrapping paper, cards, like everything that sort of goes into the holiday or a holiday. How much money are you spending? How much did you spend last year? We need to understand how we go about shopping, and the best way to do that is look at our past purchases. In some ways, we may plan in advance, and other people might be last minute shoppers. We might just want to be in and out of a store, or we might just want to go and hunt for a deal. So sort of depends on what type of shopper you are and how you tend to spend your money. But for everyone today, I'm sure we'll have something for everyone in our presentation today. It's important that we understand what you spent money on and what you focus on with your gift giving, and to include all those other things like I mentioned, cards, postage, wrapping paper, decorations, and we'll go through those today. So your next step, once you've thought about what you've actually spent money on in the past, would be to create a budget. So this is, a budget is simply a spending plan that is a list of income and expenses. And the goal of a budget is that you do not spend more money on your expenses than you have as income. One of the things we're getting ready to look at is the idea of discretionary dollars. So these are dollars that are in your budget, so to speak, that are not essential. So think of the essentials, right? So this would be mortgage, car payment, utilities, things like this. They're essential. But your discretionary or non-essentials are things that you have in your budget that are not set by a bank, or they're not dictated by, an invoice that you might get. So let's take a look at some of those. Oh, I just mentioned that. All right, so here we have an example of a discretionary expense worksheet, and I will be happy to send this to Kate following the presentation so she could forward it out to those of you that attended. So when we're talking about discretionary items, we're talking about things like personal care, clothing, laundry, how often you might get your hair cut, nails done, cosmetics, those types of expenses. We're also talking about entertainment, which is movies, concerts, going out to a museum, any type of activity like that, where you don't necessarily do it every single month, but it is a cost that you do incur. Dining out, which is a big one for my family, and for me in particular, I think I spend more money than I realize on that. And then also things like vacation and travel. And then miscellaneous, noticed under here, miscellaneous includes pet care, which I would argue my pet care is essential, but holiday, this is where the holidays and gifts and birthdays go into the picture. So what you want to do is actually, you would think about how much money you spend in a given month. And one way that you can do that is look back through your bank statements, which typically are online, or you might get them printed and mailed to you through the mail. So look and see what you've spent your money on, like how much money you spent at the barber, how much money you spent dining out, and write that down from the previous month or from any month. You can randomly pick a month, say April, what did I spend? Here you go. And then what we want, what our goal is to look within this category of things that you're spending money on to see what could be reduced to free up money for the holidays. So here's a couple of examples. So let's say if you were able to reduce your visits to the beauty shop or the barber by from $75 to $50 a month, that's going to save you $25. So going down the list, I think you sort of get the idea. And in this particular example, this person's budget was $600 spent on these things, and they're able to identify, that they could cut to $435. Okay, so that is actually a savings of $165 a month that you can identify in some cases within what you're already spending, because it's not like we get additional income at holiday season. So trying to find money within your everyday or day-to-day living is a really good place to start. And $165 adds up to almost $2,000 a year. So quite a bit of money that you could spend on the holidays if you were able to identify some of these items. This is just an example also of a worksheet. You literally could write this out on your own. You don't need an actual handout to do this, but I will share it with Kate so she can send it out. There are also online budgeting and money management tools. Probably some of your banks may have them. I know Truliant has a tool that can help you identify these discretionary items. All right, so once we know how much money we have to spend, the next tip is to make a list, and this list needs to include everything. So this is everyone you anticipate buying a gift for, any expense that you could incur. So again, food, extra food for the holidays, decorations and gifts, holiday cards, personal holiday clothing if you need to purchase something specific, postage, travel, anything like that that you might have coming up this over the next 2 months. As an example, I have my husband's birthday, my daughter's birthday, and my mother's birthday all in December. So, I have to budget in additional additional expenses on top of holiday for December. So you might have some other situations like that where you would need to add to just the Christmas or the holiday spending. You might need to add for some additional spending. So rule of thumb, and it's not a law, right? But the rule of thumb is that your holiday spending should not exceed 1.5% of your annual income. So you can do some quick calculations to figure out that amount, or I can help you. So if your income is $30,000, for example, by this rule of thumb, your holiday spending should not exceed $450. And I know you might be saying, wow, that's a lot. And some of you might be saying, that's not enough for me. This is just a rule of thumb. It's not, you're not getting in trouble for spending more, but it's a good rule of thumb when it comes to budgeting and how you can make the most of the holidays without going into additional debt. All right, now we're going to talk about all the different things that we spend money on during the holidays. So first is food and party savings. Here's how we can save some dollars during this part of the holidays. So I don't know how many of you have hosted. If you've hosted, like raise your hand or type in the chat. What was your aha moment about hosting a holiday gathering? Any good aha moments or lessons learned about hosting?
My kitchen was way too small to host my family. That was my big aha.
Yes, exactly. Yep, that's a common one. Exactly. Well, one thing you want to think about when you are hosting, well, first of all, you need to identify who's hosting. Now, with COVID and these times that we're in, a lot of families aren't getting together, and that's perfectly fine. Or it might be a smaller get together than what you may have done in the past, which again, it's unique to every family. The Retail Association did release numbers from 2019. Again, these are from 2019, that the average amount spent on Thanksgiving food was $186. And, for me, I thought, well, I feel like that's a little bit low, but I actually have a small family, but they like to bring a lot of food to the meal. So perhaps it's higher than that. Sort of depends on what your interests are in terms of eating, what you like to eat at the holidays. So do you think that your dollar amount, or whatever dollar amount you've spent in the past fits your family? And that's a question to really be honest about. Do you feel like, like I feel like maybe my family's spending too much on food that really just goes to waste because we don't eat it all? So think about that and planning out your meal. And when you're considering the job of hosting, make sure that you have the space to host and that you have access or a way to get head count. Now, it's totally fine if you're the host to be that person who says, we're only having 8 people. And so you can't bring, your friend that's living with you, or you can't, we're really limiting it, especially during COVID. It's a great opportunity for you to say, hey, we need to have a smaller group, and that will help you limit your costs. Another way that you can keep up with the head count is, through social media or an invite. You can plan those types of things. But it's important that you have a plan if you are going to be one of the hosts for any holiday meal, so that you're not burdened solely for the large expense. A really good idea is to have a potluck meal where perhaps you provide the turkey or the main meat of the meal, and that every other person in your family provides something else. Now, if you've hosted a meal, that there's always something that no one signs up to bring. So you will have some additional costs there, or could potentially have costs, or you could delegate those things out. And, at our house, we have to have specific food for specific people. So my daughter is very limited in what she will eat. And you probably have family members who are the same way. And so you want to make sure you're providing for everyone in the family. All right, let's move on to decorations. So this decoration is really nice, by the way, the one on this table, the photo that we're looking at. But when we're talking about decorations, we're not just talking about what could be on your table. We're also specifically, I want to hone in on decorations for Christmas, because this can be out of control, whether or not you're buying stocking stuffers, ornaments, which, every year I want to buy new ornaments. I don't know why, And so this might be a category where you are spending and you're not really thinking about how much you're spending. So this is an easy one that can sort of get away from you in terms of how much you've spent. So in this category in particular, and in the food category, make sure that you're keeping up with what you're spending so that next year when you go to set your budget, you actually will know, how many dollars you've spent on ornaments or on something for the table. There's a lot of free resources available to you if you are preparing to decorate for the holidays. Remember that fall is a great time for natural beauty to be incorporated in your home. Things like leaves, pine cones, pumpkins right now, any sort of vegetable looks nice. And the other good tip that I like to point out is, having family members make something versus buying something, especially if you have children in your family, even if they aren't your child, they could be a niece or a nephew, have them make something and bring it to the occasion. It's a great way to freshen up your home, but also to provide something sentimental to the meal or to the event that you're hosting. Another great idea is yard sales. So we have found quite a few things this year during the year for Halloween and for Thanksgiving and Christmas from yard sales. So taking a look at Facebook Marketplace or types of sites where they're selling things, or you can even ask a friend, because there's often there are people that have a lot of decorations that they don't use every single year. They sort of have them in rotation. And so you can ask a friend to borrow some if you want to save a little bit of money.
Gavin had a great suggestion. There's places like Reconsidered Goods in Greensboro are great for getting decorations on the cheap and keeping things out of the landfill.
Oh my gosh, I love Reconsidered Goods. What a great suggestion. That's right. That's one of these, it's really a unique place where you can go and they have all sorts of things, all sorts of materials donated. They have like pieces of plaques that I found really interesting, where you actually can make anything from what they have there. It's sort of like a warehouse type of place. And it's really good for teachers for things for their classroom. But what a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. I think I already mentioned gathering leaves. I'm not a big leaf person, but this was in the presentation twice. So my friend that created it must have been a big leaf person. Also cut out some shapes on construction paper. I like this idea of a thank you board, just to remind each other what you're thankful for. That's not, an item, so to speak. Great ideas. The Advent calendar is not a big thing in my house, but it might be in yours. Again, gather some recycled items or go to a place that has recycled items to use to set up your Advent calendar, and just put, they don't have to be gifts. I remember when I was doing this for my daughter, I would write little notes. There'd be a different note every day. And so then she had to see what the note was, and she looked forward to it just as much as she would have if it had candy in there. So. All right, let's transition for a minute and talk about what type of gift giver you are. Now we're getting into the gifts. So if you remember from an earlier slide, the average spent on Christmas is about $900. We're going to round that up to $1,000 towards gifts. So to get started in our gift section, we really want to talk about what kind of gift giver you are. And feel free to have a good laugh with some of these, because I'm certain that someone in your family is one of these types of gift givers. The first one is the extravagant giver. So this is the person who, oh my gosh, who Christmas is, year round. She could do Christmas year round. They're really into Christmas. Their whole house is decorated and they give gifts all the time. It might be a form of love, the way that they display love or affection for someone else. If you're this type of giver, you know that you're going to spend a lot during the holidays or even the whole year. So really be smart with your budget. And this type of giver doesn't really mind paying more if it is better quality in a gift. And so, you know that about yourself. You know that you're more likely to spend more. And so shopping throughout the year to try to find the best deals is a great tip for you to save money. The next type of giver is the thoughtful giver. This is the practical person in the family who does not want to waste money. They don't want to give you something that they aren't sure you're going to like. They don't want you to return a gift. So this is the type of person who, really wants to know what you want so that they don't feel like their dollars are wasted and that you're actually getting something that you want. So I know you have someone like that in your family, and it might even be you. So this type of giver believes that really the personal meaning behind the gift is really best. And so, a great tip here is just ask who you're giving the gift for. Just ask them what they want, what they would like to see. Now, if you don't want them to tell you specifically, like, my mom has always been a person who says, tell me exactly. You couldn't just say, I want a sweater. She wants to know exactly the sweater. And so it sort of takes the fun out of the gift giving when you say, I point to this, that's exactly what I want. And then she's going to give it to you. But on the gift giver's perspective, they're getting you something that they know that you wanted in the right size. And, and so they are saving you money in the long run from having to go buy that sweater yourself when you didn't get the right one. So that, if you're that type of person, then just think about ways that you could find out what people actually want, or maybe even a category of what they want before you start your gift giving. The next category, the laid back giver. They don't like crowds or craziness. They don't like wasteful spending. Is that you, Kate? They also tend to give last minute gifts. So I know a lot of men in this category, not saying that it's exclusively men, but my husband is in this category. Mostly, it's not that he's a laid back giver. It's mostly that he gets so stressed out about what to give that he ends up waiting until the end or the last minute. So this type of person tends to like gift cards because gift cards is something that is practical, that, it's not necessarily wasteful. But, a pro tip for this type of giver is sites like, or stores like Costco and Sam's Club. They sell gift cards like in bulk, where you can buy, a set of gift cards that covers something for everyone in your family. And they tend to be cheaper than if you were to purchase them individually at a different store. Remember that banks have gift cards as well, Visa gift cards like Truliant, but any sort of financial institution will have gift cards available too. And the last type of giver is the crafty giver. This is the one who wants to create something or buy from local artists versus spending money on the newest toy out there, something like that. There's, I have a lot of people in my family who like to do crafts. They don't like to do them to the extent of giving the big gift, but this is an area that they will create their own decorations, or they might create their own wrapping paper or cards. So this is that type of person. And so looking for deals is a great idea for this type of giver. There are different places that you can find good deals, which I'll get to a little bit later in the presentation. So think about if one of these types of giver is you or someone in your family, and sort of how that has dictated the way that you've purchased gifts in the past. Have you waited to the last minute? Do you really want to know what the person wants? Or are you more spontaneous in your gift giving?
Precious says she's downgraded from extravagant to thoughtful.
Very good. Very good. And you know what? We probably have seen a lot of that during COVID, as people maybe used to be extravagant and now they're like more practical or thoughtful in their gift giving. What a great comment. Thank you. All right. Some additional gift saving opportunities. Be sure that you make a list for everyone that you are going to give a gift to. List the name and the type of gift that you plan on getting. How much it's going to cost, and then after you purchase the item, how much you spent. And this part is really important, not only for future years, but so that you can see where you went wrong, perhaps in your budgeting. Like, did you anticipate that one type of gift was going to cost $100, but when you actually purchased it, it was more like $150. And how did you have to realign your budget after that type of purchase? For kids, I love this tip. Kids you can go out of control with kids too, because they want everything and they'll play with anything once for about 10 minutes, speaking from experience. And so a great idea is maybe to partner with family or friends and buy gifts for kids in these categories. What do they need? What do they want? What will they read? And what do they wear? And you can divide that up amongst your family by saying, Renee, can you read, figure out some things that Joey was going to like to read. And, Gary, figure out what, if you could buy something that he could wear, and divide it up that way. That way the child gets individual gifts, because kids just like to open gifts. It really isn't all that about what's in the gift. So, kids get to open the gifts, but they're getting something from everyone, and everyone has contributed to their holiday. And finally, looking at DIY, like I mentioned, for cards and for gifts. So the example on your screen, just getting some mugs, holiday mugs, they sell them everywhere, literally, Walmart, Target, and putting some, this is marshmallows, putting some little, food items or something little in the mug makes a great giveaway for teachers, which I forget every year about. That all the teachers deserve gifts. They work hard for the gifts and they deserve appreciation. And so, something like this is a quick and easy way without spending a lot of money to give your appreciation.
Gavin had a great suggestion. She
Sure.
says she loves to give her nephews one small thing for their birthdays and then a gift card to donorschoose.org so they can do something charitable and support a classroom in honor of their birthday. I think it's a great way to teach about charitable giving.
Oh, that is a fantastic way to teach about charitable giving. And Donors Choose is a site that a lot of teachers use where they put, or nonprofits too, but where teachers might say, I need these items for my classroom, and you can easily purchase something from there. What a great idea. I love it. Keep the ideas coming. All right, let's talk about gift wrapping, which, I hate to wrap gifts. I don't know how many of you hate it, but I am the first person to get a recycled bag and I will use every bag I have before I have to wrap a gift. I am a terrible wrapper. My family will tell you that is not a skill that I have. But here's some ways that you could save money on gift wrapping. So utilize recycled paper. Paper that you've had left over, paper that has been given to you. You might be that person that saves the paper when you get a gift. You can also use construction paper, newspaper, magazines. I know I don't know if this is a good tip or not, but this is what I do. I go to Walmart and I actually find the most paper on a roll for the cheapest price. And I try to get the double-sided paper, so that you can just buy one roll and you can still have multiple different looks of gifts without having to feel like you need to buy multiple rolls. You can also, if you use something like construction paper or brown craft paper, like you see in the picture, you can draw on it, you can put stencils on it, you can do anything like that. Also keep your utilize old ribbons. I know we save ribbon and bows every year so that we can reuse them. And reuse gift bags, that's what I do. I'm actually to the point where I'm starting to run out of gift bags because the gift giving during COVID has, we really haven't been giving a ton of gifts. So I'm going to have to buy some, I think, this year, but totally fine. It's going to be in my budget. So next tip on holiday cards. So I just spent some time with my stepdaughter last weekend as she was making holiday cards. She always makes and mails holiday cards. So you can utilize construction paper or any sort of paper that you have around the house. It could even just be printer paper. You can use, again, those leaves, flowers, stencils, anything that you want to draw or paint, as you can see here in the example. and apply to the card. And again, something that is handmade is a lot more sentimental than something that's store-bought. And this can be a tip for you the whole year, whether it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, any sort of holiday throughout the year. All right, and we talked earlier about a couple of sites that can save you money. We're leading up to that, but another thing that you could do is look and see if any of your lenders offer something called Skip a Pay, which will allow you to skip a payment. For example, on your car, it will add that payment to the end of your term of your loan, but it frees up money in your budget for one particular month where you can spend that money on some of these gifts. Again, you can plan ahead throughout the year. So, I'm gearing up right now. This sounds crazy, but we have one of those lighted ghosts in the front yard for Halloween, and it's about to die. It's on its last, like the lights are just like really not bright. And so I'm gearing up to prepare for purchasing something that's Halloween related right after Halloween, or actually on October 31st. You'll be amazed at the things that you can find just as the holidays are transitioning, and even throughout the year as holidays have passed. You'll also want, if you're a person like me who sometimes accumulates a little bit of debt during the holidays, you want to be sure you have a payoff plan and you're going to pay it off by when. For me, I like to pay that debt off by February or March 1st at the latest. That gives me 2 months on the other side of December to pay some additional, if I do take on additional debt due to my gift giving. And stick to your list, limit those impulse buys. You'll be tempted as you're walking out of the grocery store or a place like Walmart to buy those Reese's Christmas trees that I love so much. Don't do it. You don't need it. So limit your impulse buys as you're working through your budget. And then shop these discount websites. So let's take a look at some of the websites. All right, site like Groupon, if you haven't heard about it, it's a terrific site where you can save up to 70%, really, in some cases, on not just gifts, like gift items specifically, but in stores or in experiences in particular. So if you're looking to visit, let's say the Greensboro Science Center, or maybe travel out of state, this is a good site to look at before you purchase those types of things. Rakuten is another good site for purchases. You do get cash back on this type of site. Rakuten pays you commission. I don't use this site, but I have heard from coworkers that it is a really good way, a site that can save you some money and earn you some cash on your purchases. And then another site called Ibotta, which you see here. It is a free cashback rewards and payment app that gives you cash back for everyday purchases. You do get a bit of a welcome bonus just for using the app. And another site that I like that's not on the screen per se is a site called Retail Me Not. So it's the word retail and then me, M-E, and then not, N-O-T. This is a site that has coupons. So literally as I'm walking in, like I'm gonna go to, let's say I'm gonna go to Kohl's. As I'm walking into Kohl's, I'll have the site up or the app, I'll type in Kohl's, and then it will give me every coupon that is good that day, either online or in store for Kohl's. So you have a way of looking for coupons in the moment while you're in the store on whatever item that you may have seen that you'd like to purchase. All of these websites have apps, by the way, on iPhone or Android. And Truliant doesn't necessarily endorse these, but these are good. This is a good idea of looking for your own apps or ways to save money. There's a lot of these out there. These are just a few that I've pointed out today. All right, we're gonna summarize now. We talked about a lot today. Actually, I've talked about a lot today. We have some great ideas from each of you. I super appreciate that. We've talked about a budget and how and where to look to save some money, free up some money to spend on gifts during the holiday season. Remember, we talked about discretionary dollars and how we can maybe reduce those to free up a little bit of money for gifts this season. We've talked about ways to decrease your spending, whether that is by planning ahead, by making crafts on your own, those types of things. And we've talked about prioritizing and reallocating your income so that you can meet your goals that you want to meet for the holiday season. I will add on a personal note, I have a 13-year-old and a 26-year-old, and last year and previous years, I have given a bunch of stuff. And if you are a parent or if you have a kid in your family at all, then you understand what I mean by they play with it for, maybe a day and then they move on to something else. So this year I have told the whole family and committed to only purchasing experiences. And actually I didn't do it for the budget, but it's turned out to be cheaper, I will say. So whether that has been tickets, my stepdaughter is 26. She loves the North Carolina Zoo. So, getting some tickets to go to the zoo is really not that, it isn't expensive compared to what I could have spent on her. So there might be some experiences that you might want to consider this year that might be good for you and your family. I just wanted to throw that in as a final tip. All right. And Truliant provides these workshops in partnership with the Women's Resource Center in Alamance County. We've been providing them every other month this year, which has been quite a pleasure. Here is our website, Truliant, FCU, like federalcreditunion.org. And we provide this content in partnership with Balance, which is a debt counseling, personal financial counseling service that Truliant uses. And they provide a lot of the content for our workshops. All right, I'm going to back out of the presentation so that I can see your lovely faces. Here they are. Are there any questions about what we covered today? Oh, I see some, here's the cat. Yeah, giant wall calendar pages work. Yes, that's a great idea, actually. Wow. So many great ideas in here. I appreciate all of your feedback. All right, any questions today? Good content? Was it helpful? Did you learn something about yourself and your family? If you did, just raise your hand. Yeah, I see a couple hands, so that's always good.
Precious says yes.
Yes, thank you, Precious. All right. Kate, anything else today? Thank you, Diane.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. That was some really great content. I have to kind of give a few minutes to process everything, I think. I've got some great tips myself written down for my holiday list.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you very much and look forward to seeing everybody back in December. And I believe we said the date was the 8th. So
Yes.
we will be talking about, are you financially healthy, I believe.
Yeah, and what a great topic to look at right as the holidays are coming down, as we start to see, okay, how much did we spend? Or have we spent so far? Are we in a good place moving forward? So
Set us up for January.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bye, everybody.